And then that brings us to the meeting. So the thing about our meetings there is, I think pretty much almost every meeting that I've had there in the Philippines, there was what they call medical mission in connection with the meetings. And this medical mission, as it turned out, was the day before, so it was Sunday, the day of the meetings began. And what this is people come from the Seventh-day Adventist Hospital. Yes. Well, the people at the meetings, by and large, did not speak English. But the educated people, and obviously the pastors and so on, they all speak English. We doing better? Oh, thank you so much. So, the medical mission. So, where I stay is the conference office themselves. They have rooms. I mean, that's a bathroom and a room and refrigerator. And an air conditioner, just mentioned that. But anyway, is right across, so conference office right across the street is this Bacolod Adventist Medical Center, or the hospital there. And there's a really nice cafeteria there. But anyway, the people from the hospital come there, like the nurses and the people from the pharmacy and some dental people come. Some, there's at least one medical doctor there, I'm pretty sure of that, but there was several graduate, interns there, just one step away. They're pretty much practicing medicine, on and on. Just different ones would come and serve these people, and the people could get a lot of help. These are people with no health insurance, that type of thing. So, and as I understood later, the people who were taking Bible studies, they had sort of, they were first in line because we couldn't serve everybody. They were first in line to get service there. And in this picture, I see a young lady that you're going to learn more about. I didn't know any of these people. I also saw the young man that's very important to her life there too, as I was going through these pictures, but I didn't meet them there or anything. Anyway, so here the people could come and get blood drawn, get their blood sugar and a few other basics done in the short time that they were there. I don't know what this line is for, but there's different lines. This one looked like it had to do with children, perhaps, but there was different lines that they could get in and for different services. Here, these people are waiting to see dental people, and here you can see barely on that table there's all these glasses. They could get free glasses there, and also next to them was, I think it's where the doctor was. They could go there if they had blood work or whatever. They could get their sort of integrated report or recommendation from the doctor. And they pulled teeth there. This guy was so, I'm sure, thrilled to have his teeth pulled, or have at least a tooth pulled. I watched many people have teeth pulled that day, and they didn't do it here. I will tell you that, I know for sure the first meetings I had there, which was quite a large meeting, and they did the medical mission in the middle of the meeting. Halfway through the meeting, and they did, I'm not kidding you, they did circumcisions there. Now, Dr. Dave, so David Village, my friend, I met him at Andrews University 50 years ago. As he was fond of telling people there, he's my friend for 50 years. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not even 50 years old yet. How can I? Anyway, and he, until like 3 years ago, was a professor of physical therapy at Andrews University. And he came, and he had his own booth, you might call it, his own place. And the announcement was made, and people came to see him. And I know in some cases they bring, like pretty rough-shaped people, and he told me later that they told him, "You need to heal this man." But anyway, he mainly was screening people who would have a danger of falling. He had certain ways to screen that out. And you notice a young lady on the left. She's one of the girls that worked 2 years ago on my meetings there. I had a picture of that group of young people there. But that's another one of them young ladies that helped run the meetings I had 2 years ago. They came. This was, I don't know, easily an hour and a half from where they lived, but they rode with us from the conference office. Anyway, this guy here, he's got a cane there. David worked with him. So here's his team, these young people that helped him. The 3 young ladies who did so much in my meetings 2 years ago, and then this guy on the left, he was an actual physical therapy student, the only Seventh-day Adventist physical therapy student that we knew of, and he heard about this, and he came and worked with this program. So it was great. And I'll tell you more about David's work there. This is just a picture they wanted. Anyway, and then all the people that came to help. This would be the Bible workers, a couple pastors perhaps, and then all the people from the local church that helped, and then local churches, and then the people from the Seventh-day Adventist Hospital. It was a tremendous thing to be a part of, really. So that gets us to the meetings, okay? All right, so, not really. Okay, so this is what the meetings look like. I just took this picture one night. There was about 200, I counted like 220 chairs set up. And there was always other people who were, some of them would sit on whatever was out there. This is the backdrop here that they made. I had written and said, my friend, Dr. Dave, I gave him a little background. He's going to come, and I'd like it if he could give some of the health talks at night. And so this is what they did. They put him on the backdrop and everything. And so I told him, I said, "Dave, it looks like you're going to have to give all the sermons because your picture's, bigger than mine." He said, "I was wondering when you were going to say that," he said to me. Anyway, this is how they would come. Here you can see there's 20, 25 people that probably, I just caught this as they were unloading. They come in the back of these trucks. I mean, these people, like a Bible worker or whatever, would go out and pick them up, and they would come. And also, the volunteers, I'll just leave it that way, would go out in these tries. So a try is a motorcycle with a side added onto it, which is probably designed for, the driver and maybe 2 other people, maybe 3 if they're, smaller people. Well, you can see here that we didn't catch them as they pulled in, but this picture, actually Dave took this picture just as they were unloading. There was at least 15 people that came in on that try. And they would go out and get these people and then go get more. I mean, these people, very, very few of the people that we were preaching to, outside of the pastors and maybe, some of the people from the city, the church members, they would have they just wouldn't have transportation, not even a motorcycle. A few of them did have motorcycles. Anyway, so here they are. They came to the meeting, and this is a picture from the back. This probably was during the health talk or something. I just took this picture, and this again, I think you've seen this already from the front. So, to talk to you just a little bit about the health talks. Other people did health talks, but Dr. Dave did quite a few of them. And you see, I've been to every meeting I've ever had. There's health talks. It's usually the 8 laws of health, pretty much. And sometimes people will come from the hospital. Sometimes it'll just be lay people there. But they've never really seen physical therapy. Is just not that well known in the Philippines. And they've just and so David ended up doing, showing people how to do certain exercises for certain issues. And man, I'm telling you, they loved it. They just had such a great time. It was brought about, binding together. It was absolutely great. I think the next one is a video, just a short clip of, let's see if it is. I think, I'll look. Okay, right after this one. This one here, okay? All right.
Okay, you get to stand up again. The next exercise I call the half squat. Ready? Halfway down, and we'll count down. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off. And how many times would you repeat that? 10 times.
So that leads us to, I hope you could see, I don't know how quickly that came in, but the people are just they really like that a lot. All right, so the meetings themselves. So I preached the whole first week. The first 3 nights I preached just total gospel. The gospel of Jesus from my whole heart. And then I went into some of the most important, teachings of these last days. So it was the following Monday night that I preached about the Sabbath day. So that's like the 8th night, I guess. And, I had preached about the God we serve, how that He loves, that the free will is, one of His highest values, if not His highest value that He has, and that, He never wants to force people to serve Him, and so on and so forth. And I did that when I decided to give people an opportunity who wanted to take a stand for the Sabbath. Now, these people had been getting Bible work, but so I just gave a call that night, and I made it clear to them that, like I said, that this is your own free will, and because you want to follow Jesus. And there was basically 20 people that came forward that night, 20 precious people, and I really was, I guess, hoping for more, but that's who came forward. And this is Jim singing, the appeal song, but still is a thrill. Now you'll see this young couple right in the middle. I mentioned that I saw them at the medical mission, the girl with the, I guess, blue and red stripes. And then next to her is her boyfriend, okay? And I had noticed these people in the meetings. I noticed this young lady. Now, it's difficult sometimes to tell how old people are there, because when they're younger, they just look young. And I thought this, I didn't know, but I saw this young lady. They sat quite a ways back, but right on the aisle, so I could see her that every night she was just vigorously taking notes. And I make note of that. I make note of the people who I see taking notes. And a lot of times I'll then hand them, I'll get them a copy of the notes, which the notes are just the slides, just printed out like 6 slides on a page. And so I made it my point to go there and share the notes with this couple, mainly her, each night before the meeting started, so she wouldn't have to write so vigorously. And so I got to know them a little bit that way, and I talked to the pastor or the pastor's wife or whatever about them. What can you tell me about this couple? They seem to be really interested and learn some stuff. And there they were, that first call, they came forward. And I was so happy for that, as I was for all the people. But turns out she's 25 and he's 27. I thought probably younger than that. But anyway, and they have a 5-year-old child. I mentioned that he was her boyfriend. And I knew. And then at some point, I guess, a Bible worker or somebody talked to him about, because I had at some point announced at least that there was going to be a baptism at the end of these meetings, and they were interested in that. But they they needed to get married. She said there's no way they're going to get a license in time for this baptism. Which was very, disappointing to me, but because apparently there you have to get a statement of non-marriage. You have to prove you're not married. And that takes some time. And then you got to get the marriage license. And she said there's no way. And not only that, but there was this big festival, some kind of cultural festival going on in town, in the city. And that mayor, that's what we would call him, the mayor, he's the one that's got to sign off on some of that stuff. And he was really busy, she said. He's not even there's no way it's going to happen. I'm like, oh, that's disappointing. Well, I want to tell you, there was other stuff happening. I'm not going to go into it, but the enemy had some plans for this young couple, and it wasn't to be in our baptism. But this pastor's wife, she, I didn't even know it. She didn't say, Pastor, I'm doing this or that. I just heard about it. And she went to work to try to get this paperwork in line. And then she told me, she sent me, Pastor, we got this, and then Pastor, we got that. And she got what we needed in like 3 days. I was told, 2 weeks isn't going to be long enough. And not only that, now I understand, I'll tell you about this young man here. And this, I'm sharing about these people. I know probably more about these than any of the others, but these are, I guess, illustrative of the people, okay? So this man here works in a sugarcane, in the sugarcane fields. He makes, so he works with a water buffalo, which helps to clean up the mess after the harvest, and I think also helps somewhat with planting. But anyway, I've never worked with a water buffalo myself, so I can't speak in great detail. But he makes $7.50 a day, $7.50 a day. Now in the city, in town, in Hinigaran, they have I'm sure you'll be thrilled to know, they have a McDonald's there now, okay? Brand new McDonald's. And when you're getting close to it, I'm saying for a mile out, like every 100 yards, there's a McDonald's flag flying. I noticed that. And so one night I asked one of the young people that was riding with us, we had people that rode with us most nights in the van to the meeting from the conference office. Anyway, I said, how much does it cost to eat a meal there? Well, they told me, of course, in pesos, and they figured it out and told me in pesos. So I looked like it cost like $3 to eat a meal at McDonald's, maybe $3.50. I don't want to exaggerate. Right in there, okay? And so this guy made $7.50 a day. It cost $3.50 to eat at McDonald's one meal. So you get the idea, right? The building they live in is bamboo. Just they wouldn't. Oh no, Pastor, it's not finished. They said we don't want me to visit there. But I've seen many of these places, and it's just bamboo. And the thing about it is, it's not on their property. It's on the fields where they work. So that's it. And one night I asked. This was after, toward the end when I was really getting to know them, and I asked if the little one, the 5-year-old, had ever been to a dentist. She said, Pastor, none of us have ever been to a dentist. And by the way, it's a good. Okay, so you get the picture. And so there they are. And, the pastor's wife, of course, the pastor, I'm sure, and then some of the Bible workers and so on, they just pulled together. And I really don't know how they did it, but I've already tried to show you where these people are coming from in terms of their life. And here's what happened. Look at that. Beautiful. They just put together this wedding, and I, of course, had no legal ability to marry them or whatever, but I was invited to give the sermonette, and also I was so privileged to have the dedicatory prayer, which there was a couple different ones. And wow, what a thrill it was to see. And there's their little girl. And their little girl is Monday, or Tuesday actually, will be enrolled in the Hinagaran Seventh-day Adventist Elementary School, kindergarten. These are people from out there, and they're so happy. And look at that. I have no idea where the pastor's wife got these dresses, right? I guarantee you they didn't come out of the closets of these people here. And she wouldn't tell me. I kept, well, how much did you spend on this? That's what I wanted. That was none of my business. So anyway, they put together this beautiful wedding. And this is, by the way, in the same venue. When somebody told me, Pastor, they covered up your picture. Because this is the same place where the backdrop is behind it. But I talked to both of them mothers, his mother, her mother, afterward. And I'm thinking right now, especially of his mother. She just told me with tears. She said, Pastor, we could never have afforded this. They're just so grateful. And again, these are not, Seventh-day Adventist people, although that mother is, from what I hear, is getting very close. The groom's mother. And I figured this picture was definitely worth putting up there, right? And it's just really, this was like just in the same venue, just a couple hours before the meeting that evening. So it was a very high day indeed. So I think I might have went backwards there. So now we get to decisions. So I mainly just made 2 major calls according to my memory. I probably made 3. I'm pretty sure I did. But sometimes I just had them stand. Pretty much every night I had them stand or at least raise their hand. But anyway, this is right at the end of the meetings, either the last night or second to last night. And before the meeting started, this is the last night. The second to last night, I don't have a picture. And for whatever happened that night, this last night, before I preached, I just felt impressed. I need to find out. It's just, who am I talking to here? And so I asked, the people, how many of you have learned about the seventh-day Sabbath, and you are either keeping it or you have definitely purposed you're going to keep the Sabbath? And there was, I gave a call. I already told you about that. Okay. Oh, no, this was this night, the last night. I gave a call about the Sabbath, but that last night I want to know how many. Well, I was asking them, how many of you are ready to be baptized? Well, I don't know, probably, I couldn't count them, but I'm saying 35 people probably stood up out there. And I was thrilled about that. And then I asked this question because I could see something was going on. I wasn't for sure, but I had in my mind that something's going on here. There's a battle going on here. Anyway, this is the thing. This is probably the most, So then I asked the question. So I had those people sit down. I asked the question, how many of you've just learned, the last, however, either during the seminar or the last several months with the Bible, you've learned about the Sabbath day. Maybe you've started to keep it, but and here was the main thing, you believe in the seventh-day Sabbath. Again, don't get me wrong, this wasn't, I didn't preach Sabbath. I preached the gospel. That's all I preached the first 3 nights, and every night I tried my best to preach the truth as it is in Jesus. But anyway, this was, the mark of the beast had been preached, and so I said, how many of you, you believe in the seventh-day Sabbath, you're not fully keeping it, maybe you've just started keeping it, or you just have more questions, but you really do believe what you've learned. Could you stand up? 50 people stood up. I mean, totally took me, I just knew that because I was expecting, more than anyway. And I'm like, wow, that's incredible. So the baptism itself, this is the groom getting baptized. And you'll see that on video in a little bit here. This is just my title page for this section. But I have a feeling that after this is, okay, so obviously it's not night now, it's Sabbath morning. So we had worship right in the venue. Sabbath morning, that is the pastor's wife right there in the middle there, the blue shirt. And then to her right is her son and her husband, the pastor. And to her left, that young lady there is one of her two wonderful daughters, probably a senior in high school, something like that. Just very nice young people. And anyway, and they brought in 4 pastors for this baptism. I'll just tell you, because I've talked about people come forward, it ended up being 38 people were baptized that day, 38 people. And the thing about it is that I only saw myself, I'm maybe 3 or 4, what I'd call, children, okay? Everybody, and a lot of young adults. And you look at them, you're not thinking young adult like you'd see here because, they don't have the fancy young adult clothes that you'd see here, but that's what they are. They're young adults. A lot of them. There's a number of old people there too. You'll see that too. But anyway, you ready? 1, 2, 3. So as you can see, they did 4 baptisms at a time. My interpreter was doing the words, and then there was a pastor's daughter who was singing in connection. This young lady here, this is an example of a young adult. It's such a thrill. And I don't know this young lady personally. I mean, you say hi and everything, but for a lot of these people, life is not easy. So much sincerity shown there. And here is the groom, and then as a part of this clip you also see an older lady, clearly an older lady, one of the physical therapy I'll call patients, I guess. And the bride and the bride's sister-in-law, 17-year-old girl. You'll see them both. So here is the prayer. This is my last slide. I have the prayer, the prayer of dedication after the baptism. And again, I'm pretty much, once the baptism starts, I'm pretty much a spectator. And so I just took this picture from behind. You'll notice this one young man here in the back row who is not kneeling. He's sitting. And this is a guy that he was not, it's hard to keep all the stories straight, but my understanding, he wasn't at the medical mission. I thought he was, but they brought him to Dr. David the first night of the meetings, and he has some, serious issues, which affects his ability to walk. Somehow the pastor that baptized him wasn't informed, and I guess he hurt his back a little bit during the baptism, but that's a minor thing compared to the ongoing chronic issues that he faces. And Dave spent some time with him, and yeah, it's a problem there, but Dave concluded if he had good physical therapy, this could be taken care of. And I'm so thrilled to tell you that he's already been now to the hospital, to the physical therapy department there, and he's going again. And Dr. Dave has put, is paying for that, and it's really a thrill. Well, this guy, I talked to him Friday night because I knew I was gonna be making that call, and and he wasn't the one that stood up, and so I talked to him, and he said he's not ready, and I said okay. Again, I was all about, you're gonna make these decisions because you love Jesus, and you've been impressed by him, and then afterward I saw the pastor talking to him. I said, no, he said he's not ready. Fine. Again, I emphasized this when I made my calls, and especially that 50. The interpreter told me later, who obviously understands the culture better than I do, I mean, it's a little bit more than a guess. He told me that they appreciate the fact that you're actually doing what you said in your sermons. You're not pressuring them, you're giving them, making it clear this is their free choice. Anyway, Sabbath morning, I was surprised to see this guy was in line to be baptized. I was very thrilled. And this is a note that the pastor's wife, who was the one that, she and her husband took him to the hospital this past Wednesday, I think it was. And again, next week, I think it is. But anyway, they're very thankful, Doc. You can see the happiness and deep gratitude on their faces. That'd be him and his mother. His mother was baptized. You can see the happiness and deep gratitude on their faces for the help they received. Earlier, while we were eating, they mentioned that despite the thousands of worries they had, they never imagined someone they hadn't even met would help them. They thought that once the crusade ended, they were baptized, and you had returned home, that would be the end of it. They were so surprised when I messaged them saying that you would help John Mark get another medical checkup and so on. So these people are really impacted. Hopefully, that this is the whole goal, the love of Jesus and the truth as it is in Jesus. And with that in mind, we're going to sing our closing song, number 578.